I am Gordon Cruz and this is my avatar. I am a practicing family law attorney and am a fellow of the AAML. My role in this presentation is presenting the law and potential arguments.
I am Jim Schaefer, a forensic accountant, and this is my avatar. I will demonstrate the family law statutes and case law as presented by Gordon. I will also serve as moderator. We will use the terms husband and wife for the sake of convenience, meaning no disrespect to same-sex couples.
I am the avatar for Judge Harry Powazek, a mediator and retired judge of the San Diego Superior Court, now serving as a private judge. My role in this presentation is to provide judicial insights, both from the perspective of a settlement neutral and as a trial judge, into the issues raised by my fellow presenters.
I am the avatar for Mr. X, the unofficial spokesperson for the Xspouse software. I will be commenting on the input to the Xspouse software for child support add-ons.
Our presentation is arranged in question and answer format. Gordon, what are the so-called two categories of mandatory add-ons, and where are these two types found in the Family Code?
There are two categories of mandatory add-ons to child support. The two categories are set forth in Family Code Section 4062A and are mandatory as the section states, quote, "The court shall order the following additional child support," unquote. Section 4062A1 describes mandatory childcare costs related to employment as follows, quote, "Childcare costs, if those expenses are actually incurred, related to employment or to reasonably necessary education or training for employment skills, as described in Section 4063, unless those costs are specifically included in the guideline calculation itself." Section 4062A2 describes mandatory healthcare costs stating, quote, "The reasonable uninsured healthcare costs for the children is provided in Section 4063.
A number of these issues regularly arise in court as to reimbursement and payment of these costs. First, the daycare is being provided by a nanny who is providing other services than daycare, or daycare is being provided by family member or friend, and whether an actual payment is being made. Lastly, what is the precise definition of being enrolled in school on a full-time basis, which was just heard by the 4th District Appellate Court Division 1 and was remanded back to the trial court for further review.
Are there discretionary add-ons, and where are these found in the Family Code?
We generally refer to the add-ons defined in Family Code 4062B as discretionary add-ons. Section 4062B1 empowers the court with the discretion to order additional child support, quote, "costs related to the educational or other special needs of the children." Section 4062B2 empowers the court, quote, to order, quote, "travel expenses for visitation."
This type of reimbursement is solely in the discretion of the court, and unless there is a stipulation of the parties or have substantial income, this is a problematic area. These requests typically involve travel costs as a result of a granting of a move-away request, extracurricular activities that the children have been participating prior to the date of separation, or tuition to a private school the children have been attending prior to the date of separation. Keeping in mind the parties now have two separate households, typically their income is now limited, therefore these requests are difficult to grant. A caveat is the temporary stability of the children's education is a high priority.
How did Senate Bill 343 change the default allocation of add-on child support expenses to the parties effective September 1, 2024?
I will begin with the explanation of the California Lawyers Association. The bill adopts the recommendation that such add-ons be allocated by default in proportion to the parent's net spendable income, though a party may request a different allocation. The bill adds that childcare expenses are reimbursable add-ons if they are actually incurred and are presumably reasonable if actually incurred. The Judicial Council's recommendation was implemented by a change to Family Code 4061A as shown on screen. Effective September 1, 2024, the reasonable time to request reimbursement will increase from 30 days to 90. Payment continues to be due within 30 days.
Frankly, I'd always believed the court had the discretion to allocate these costs other than equally. It's presumptively a good place to start, but I would look at each party's total financial circumstances after the payment of child and/or spousal support and attorney fees to determine an appropriate allocation. As an aside, I generally advise the parties they must strictly and timely comply with payment and provide detailed reimbursement requests, otherwise their request most likely would be denied. This was provided in an effort to avoid the request for reimbursement that brought well after the statutory time frame or with highly inadequate supporting documentation.
Gordon, using the terminology in the Xspouse program for version 202-1.2, what is the add-on allocation formula for a given party?
Answering your question using the line descriptions found in the Xspouse is shown on screen. Divide a parent's net spendable income by the net amount of combined net spendable less basic child support for that parent. This results in the approximate add-on apportionment percentage for that parent.
Mr. X, will you join me in presenting a hypothetical? I am pleased to introduce husband, who will give us the child support facts.
I am the husband. I make $25,000 per month and my ex earns $4,000 per month. We have one child and I have our daughter 40% of the time. My wife has child care expenses that enable her to work. These expenses total $1,000 per month.
I have the receipt for the childcare expense and am ready to submit within the 90-day time period. How much will I receive in reimbursement? Money is tight and every dollar is important to me.
Jim, we have what we need to answer the allocation of the add-on. We will do this using Xspouse 2025 software version 1.2.
Mr. X, I will prepare the calculation and ask that you explain in greater detail as I proceed. I have entered the 2025 basic income and dependent information for our hypothetical. Here is the input section without the child care expenses. The add-on input is located at the bottom of the input section under the child care expenses line item.
I prefer that the preparer double-click on the amount field for father or mother to open the detail window as shown. We enter the $1,000 per month on the line indicated. If there were discretionary add-on expenses, these would be entered in the proper column for the line labeled Expenses for Visits, School, and Travel. We need to pause a minute and make our audience aware that two settings that became effective September 1st, 2024 will default to the correct setting when preparing a 2025 and subsequent child support computation. These two settings with their default 2025 and subsequent values are indicated below. If you are seeking to make a calculation under pre-September 2024 law, see my 3-minute video on YouTube at the address shown below.
Xspouse computes the add-on with $586 of the $1,000 allocated to father.
So what is my reimbursement from father? My reimbursement due within 30 days is $586.
Entering all the add-on expenses into Xspouse enables the software to calculate available tax benefits that affect all support calculations.
I just wish to restate my previous input. I look at the totality of each party's financial circumstance in addressing these issues.